The eclipse happened. I saw my Christian neighbors get raptured. Happened. If you are a Christian and you're still here on earth, you weren't good enough. You didn't get raptured. You're going to hell with the rest of the sinners. I'm sorry. My next door neighbors, very pious people, raptured straight up into heaven. So if you're Christian and you're still here, you failed the test. You're not good enough. My neighbors got raptured. Saw them go. I saw them go straight up into heaven. But if you didn't go, you're not good enough. You didn't make the cut. You weren't raptured. Think about why that is. Why did my neighbors get raptured straight up into heaven with the light and the smiles? They were waving down to me saying, we'll pray for you, sinner. And I'm like, okay, sorry I didn't make it. But the rest of you, why are you here? You didn't get raptured. My neighbors got raptured. They were good and pious. You didn't.
Shalom, Yasharallah. It's your brother Darash Shamath, and I'm back with another lesson. Before I get started, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushai, by Hashem, Makar, Kodash, and double honors to the elders and apostles at the Great Millstone for bringing out this truth, and shalom to the hopeful elect, which includes the 144,000 the rest of the elect out there scattered around the world, including those speckled bird Israelites who may look like the other nations but are not. This is not a black thing. This one goes out to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. The scriptures were only written unto the nation of Israel. So this one we're going to be talking about the rapture, all right? I'm going to title this one, The Christian Doctrine of the Pre-Trib Rapture is False Doctrine, okay? And so I got GPT pulled up, and I asked the question, what is the rapture? And it says the rapture is a Christian belief about an event in the future when Yahushua HaMashiach will suddenly take or catch up his true followers, living and dead, to be with him. The word rapture itself isn't in the Bible, but it comes from the Latin word rapturo, which translates the Greek word harpazo to mean seize, snatch, or catch away. Found in 1 Thessalonians 4:17. Then we, which are alive and remain, shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. So shall we ever be with the Lord. Okay. Key points of the doctrine. The event, believers are instantly transformed, given glorified bodies, and taken up to meet Hamashiach in the air. The dead in Hamashiach rise first. Christians who have died are resurrected. The living are transformed. Christians still alive are changed in an instant. Okay, and then timing, different Christian groups interpret when it happens in relation to the end time tribulation. So there's the pre-tribulation rapture, before a period of great tribulation, mid-tribulation rapture in the middle of it, and post-tribulation rapture after the tribulation at Hamashiach's second coming. Okay? And so, that was an apostle of Great Millstone. We don't actually, use the word rapture to describe what's happened because it's too closely related to, the Christians, and we just don't want to be associated with the Christian doctrine. Okay, but the elect will be caught up, but it's not all anybody who just believes. It's the elect of the nation of Israel. The salvation is only for the nation of Israel. Okay, so this is why we separate ourselves from the Christian doctrine, because it's just filled with errors, okay, and lies. All right, so only the Israelites will be saved. All right, and the scriptures tell us that Hamashiach will keep us. Okay, like during that hour of temptation in the book of Revelations, it talks about that. So he's going to help us to go through this tribulation, okay? Yes, some will be martyred, okay? Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give you a crown of life. Yes, we understand that, all right? Because the servant isn't greater than the master, okay? So Yahushua went through it, so we got to go through it too, all right? So there's no pre-tribulation rapture, all right? There's no mid-tribulation rapture, okay? The closest thing to what we teach, it would be post-tribulation, but they have who is getting saved as incorrect. They don't actually even understand what salvation is going into, okay? You'd have to be saved from something, but they don't get that. But let's jump right into it, all right? This is Matthew chapter 24 and verse 29. It says, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Okay, so this is talking about the thermonuclear destruction, that's going to come. All right. Like the prophet Isaiah, the earth shall rock to and forth like a drunkard. Okay, so this Babylon the Great is going to get destroyed, aka America. All right, and thermonuclear ash and stuff from that, it's going to blot out the sun. All right. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and glory. All right. And so this is happening all at the same time, because the scriptures tell us that the elect shall scarcely be saved. Okay, so the elect could be taken up out of Babylon the Great. Okay, so they'll be saved from that destruction. So wherever they are on the earth, they'll be saved from whatever destruction they're facing. All right, they will be saved. Okay, and he shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather his elect from the four winds and from one end of heaven to the other. Okay, and so the angels will go out and beam up the elect. All right, and that is kind of what Christians would describe as like the rapture, which is basically going into being caught up. Okay, but we don't use the word rapture because it's too many false doctrines tied to it. Okay, so the elect will be beamed up into the chariots. Okay, now if we jump down to verse 36, it says, but the day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. So only Yahweh knows when he's going to send Yahweh. He's the only one who knows when the day of the Lord is going to be, when that thermonuclear destruction is going to take place, when the chariots are going to come back. Okay? But as the days of Noe were, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. All right? And so in the days of Noah, Noah was building that ark. All right? People wouldn't listen to him. He preached to him. He built the ark. And then once, the ark was sealed, it was too late. So once the elect are sealed, it's going to be too late for anybody else to come in. All right? For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into ark. So people just going on about their normal lives, just not giving, any heed to all the things that are happening in the world. They're just like, yeah, it ain't got nothing to do with me. Things just go keep on going as they've been going. It's going to be fine. And then boom, destruction. All right. And knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Then shall two be in the field, and one shall be taken, and the other left. Okay? So he's going to separate, or like we'll get in this parable, okay, the wheat from the tares. Okay, so he's going to take his elect, okay? So if an elect member is next to somebody who's not elect, they're going to take, the elect is going to be taken, okay? Because the angels know, who you are. He's not going to, mistakenly take an Edomite or mistakenly take a Moabite or an Elamite or a Japhite. No, he's only coming for Israelites, but the elect of Israel, okay? So if it's a 2/3 Israelite and an elect, the 2/3 go get left, all right? The angels know who to get. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, and one shall be taken and the other left, okay? Going into the same thing, all right? So the way, how Christians teach it, they teach it that everybody can be saved no matter your nationality or not. But what they could get confused about the scriptures is that the Israelites, they were scattered amongst all people, and they look like all people upon the face of this earth, okay? So it's Israelites that have the opportunity to make it, but only the elect are going to make it, all right? Now, let's go to Matthew chapter 13 and go to verse 26. Now let's do 24. And it says, in another parable he put forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which soweth good seed in his field. Okay, who's that man? Okay, he'll be going into Yahushua. Okay, while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. Okay, so we slept. All right, we fell away. There was a great falling away. Okay, we were asleep. That's why the scriptures tell us it's high time that we wake up out of sleep now. Okay, now we knowing who we are and stuff like that. But during that time, the enemy sowed tares among us. What happened? We was in captivity. These heathen nations, what did they do to our women? They raped them. Okay, and then they produced tares because you are who your father is. Okay, so if an Israelite man puts his seed inside of a heathen woman, an Israelite child will come out. But if a heathen man puts his seed inside of an Israelite woman, a heathen child is going to come out, and that will be a tare. Okay, because they may look like the Israelite, but they're not an Israelite. All right. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. Okay. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in the field? From whence then hath it tares? Okay, so just like, wait, we sowed good seed here. All right. You sowed real good seed. Now, what does these tares do? Now, if you go and look up tares and then look up wheats, look at the image of them, put them next to each other, and see if you could tell them apart. They look alike. Okay? So you might have somebody in your family. Your cousin might be a tare. Okay? You might have a brother or a sister, and y'all got different dads. Your sibling might be a tare. Okay? Or if you're a heathen watching this, you the tare. Okay, if you look like the Israelites, all right, that's how it's going down. That's what it is, all right. And he said unto them, an enemy had done this, all right. Psalms 83. Okay, you can see the enemies of the Israelites. Okay, listed there. Okay, so our enemies did this, predominantly Esau, Edom. The servant said unto him, wilt thou then go and gather them up? But he said, nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Okay? Let both grow together until the harvest. Okay? And when is that harvest going to come? On the day of the Lord. Okay? And in the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather ye first the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat in my barn. Okay, so the tares, they're going to be gathered up to be burnt. Where are they going to be burned at? In the lake of fire. Where's the lake of fire? Babylon the Great, aka America. All right, and then the wheat is going to be gathered into the barn. Okay, the barn represents the chariot. Okay, that's going to be those people, those elect members who will be standing on that sea of glass. Okay, watching this place get burnt. All right. Now let's scroll down to verse 36. Then Yahushua sent the multitude away and went into the house, and the disciples came unto him, saying, declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. And he said unto them, he that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man, which is Yahushua. The field is the world. Okay, the good seed are the children of the kingdom. The children of the kingdom are the Israelites. But the tares are the children of the wicked one. Okay? So the children of the wicked one would be the Edomites. Okay? So, the enemy that sowed them is the devil. Okay? So the devil would be the adversary. All right? So, Esau, Edom. Okay? Because they're the wicked. Okay? Malachi 1 and 4. All right? The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angel. Okay, so the harvest, the end of the world, and the end would be the day of the Lord. Okay, that's what it's going into. And then the reapers are the angels. All right, as therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire. Okay, which is going to be that thermonuclear destruction, this lake of fire that's going to be Babylon the Great. So shall it be in the end of this world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend. Okay? And them which do iniquity. All right? We'll get a precept on some things that offend in a second. And it says, and shall cast them into the furnace of fire, and there shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. And then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who had ears to hear, let him hear. Okay, so who had ears to hear, let him hear, because only the elect is going to get this. All right, you see sayings like that all throughout the scriptures. Now let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 9. And it says, know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of power. Okay, so our righteousness is as filthy rags. So how do we become righteous? Through faith in Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Okay, and our faith without works is dead, so we'll do things to back up that faith. All right, be not deceived, neither fornicators. Okay, so there's spiritual fornicators, which idolatry, which you see right there next. No idolatry, there's physical fornicators, like, things that are written in Leviticus chapter 18, like, bestiality, doing it with your mom or your sister, or man on man, woman on woman nonsense, or adulterers taking another man's wife, which is his property, or effeminate, them flamboyant peoples, nor abusers of themselves with mankind, them other alphabet soup peoples, nor thieves, nor covetous. Okay, that's in the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thy neighbor's wife, anything that is thy neighbor's, roughly paraphrase it. Nor drunkards, nor revilers. Okay, thou shalt not revile the gods. Okay, that's in Deuteronomy. All right, so how y'all people be talking about the prophets? Y'all got to pay for that. All right, nor extortioners. Now you see how you people be swindling the people, trying to sell them prophecies, trying to sell them Hebrew names, trying to do all of this stuff. Y'all go get it. Shall enter the kingdom of power. Okay, which were some of you. Okay, so some people have come out of that state. All right, because guess what? We were Gentiles. Okay, cast away after those dumb idols. But now we've come out of darkness into the marvelous light. All right. But ye are sanctified, but ye are justified in the name of the Lord Yahweh Shai, and by the Spirit of our power. Okay, and that's the Ruach HaKodesh. Now let's go to the book of Revelations. This is Revelation chapter 14, verse 14. Okay, talking about the reapers. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud going into the chariots. Okay, he maketh his clouds his chariots. You can find that in the book of Psalms. I believe it's Psalms 104. Let me see. Psalms 104 and verse 3. Who layeth the beam of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind. So sometimes you might be looking up at the sky and you see this weird thing, and you see, people call it a UFO. That's not a UFO. That's a chariot. That's why some of our ancestors used to say, swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home, because that's how we getting home. All right? Now let's go back to the book of Revelations. All right. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud. Okay, and upon the cloud sat one like the Son of Man. So that's Yahweh Shai on a chariot. Okay, if you go to 2nd Ezra, you'll see he graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. That's a big chariot that they're talking about. Okay, having on his head a golden crown. He's the King of Kings. He's the Lord of Lords. All right, that's Yahweh Shai. All right, and in his hand a sharp sickle. Okay, and if you can't picture what a sickle is, picture a grim reaper. Okay. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. Okay, so the elect will be sealed. We done proved ourselves. The number that Yahweh had of the elect to be martyred is going to be complete. Esau and all these heathens, they're going to complete their measure of sins that they were supposed to complete, and they go get judged. All right. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. All right. And another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, which had the power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, Thrust in thy sickle, and gather the cluster of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. Okay, now that cluster of the vines of the grape of the earth, that's talking into the people who's not going to be saved. All right, that's talking about the 2/3. That's talking about these Edomites. That's talking about these heathens. Okay, and the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of power. Okay, so they're gonna feel that full wrath. Okay, so they're gonna be basically thrown into this lake of fire here in Babylon the Great. Okay, and we'll go into we'll get another precept on that winepress. Verse 20, and the winepress was trodden without the city, okay, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horses' bridles, by the space of 1,600 furlongs. So that's going to be great unaliving that's going to be taking place in that time, okay? Now let's go get Yahushua talking about he trodden the winepress alone. Let's see. That's Isaiah 63. So who is it that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? Okay. On this that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. All right. So that's Yahushua. All right. He's coming back. All right. With vengeance in his heart. He has dyed garments because his raiment is going to be stained with the blood of his enemies. That's what it's going into. Okay, wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, thy garments like him that treaded in the wine fat. Okay, because he was stamping on the wine press. He treaded the wine press alone. Okay, it's figurative, it's symbolic of the destruction that he's coming to bring. Okay, he's going to slay his enemies. I have trodden the wine press alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in my anger and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. All right. So you heathens ain't gonna get away, okay? Hold on, let me get one more. This is verse 4. For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. All right, so Yahushua up there waiting. He's coming with vengeance, okay? And so you got the second most powerful being ever in existence, okay? Being sent by the most powerful being ever in existence. And he gave the second most powerful being all the power to do whatever he wants. It's going to be bad if you ain't on the right side when Yahushua show up. All right? So you heathens, y'all done. Let me get that Obadiah. Let me see. Obadiah 1:15. For the day of Yahweh is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. All right? Now, let's go to Habakkuk and get an example of, this wine press and how bad it's going to be. And you'll see, he in that same spirit like Ezra, where Ezra is like, woe is me, who shall deliver me in those days? All right, this is Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 8. Was Yahweh displeased against the rivers? Was thine anger against the rivers? Was thy wrath against the sea? That thou didst ride upon thine horses and thy chariots of salvation. Okay, so if anybody ever try to tell you that we're not going to be saved in the chariots, take them through this scripture. Take them to the scripture, okay? Why would they be called the chariots of salvation? Why were the ancestors saying, swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home, okay? It's all right here, all right? So Ezra just like, you was mad at the rivers? Like, man, he's just like, what is happening? Because that's how bad it's going to be. Thy bow was made quite naked, according to the oath of the tribes, even thy word, Selah. Thou didst cleave the earth with rivers. The mountains saw thee, and they trembled. The overflowing of the water passed by. The deep uttereth his voice, and lifted up his hands on high. The sun and moon stood still in their habitation. At the light of thine arrows they went, and all the shining of thy glittering spear. Okay? So Yahweh's arrows of indignation, all right? That's going to be his weapon. All right? That's what's coming. Okay? Forgot what it's called in the book of Isaiah. But yeah, it's talking about those missiles though. Okay? That's his sword. Yeah, his glittering sword. Okay, his sword shall be bathed in heaven. Yeah. All right? So it's going into the missiles. All right? Thou didst march through the land in indignation, his righteous anger. He finally will get to, express it. Thou didst thresh the heathen in anger. All right? So the heathen don't understand. They're not getting out of this like that. Yes, some of the heathen gonna be, preserved for captivity, but they about to get wrecked on the day of Yahweh Shem Yahshua. Y'all touched the apple of his eye. Every nation under heaven touched the Israelites. Y'all about to get it bad. Y'all don't even understand. Thou wentest forth for the salvation of thy people. Wait, who's he coming to save? Let me read that again. Thou wentest forth for the salvation of thy people, who are the Israelites. Because he's only the God of the Israelites. What is that, Joel 2:27? Even for salvation with thine anointed. Who's his anointed? Yahweh Shai. Thou woundest the head out of the house of the wicked, Esau, Edom. Thou discoverest the foundation unto the neck, Selah. Thou didst strike through with his staves the head of his villages. Okay, they thinking their houses going to go on forever. Oh, no. This place is going to be turned into a desert wasteland where every unclean bird is going to be. All right? All kind of desert creatures. They came out as a whirlwind to scatter me. Their rejoicing was as to devour the poor secretly. All right? So Esau, Edom, they thought they was going to get us. Okay? That's what they thought. But they thought wrong. Okay? The Heavenly Father laughs at him. Okay? Because he see that his day is coming. All right? Thou didst walk through the sea with thine horses. Okay? Through the heaps of great waters. Okay? Through all these people. When I heard, my belly trembled. My lips quivered at the voice. Rottenness entered into my bones, and I trembled in myself, that I might rest in a day of trouble. When he cometh up unto the people, he will invade them with his troops. So this prophet Habakkuk was like, man, let me be in the spirit world when this happened, because I'm scared. I seen this, and I don't want to be that. All right? That's why Ezra was like, woe is me, who shall deliver me in those days? Okay? So these prophets, they really had the fear of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai, because they were able to see these things. Okay? Now us, some of us don't see these things, but some brothers do see, dreams and visions. If y'all haven't seen the dream, I think it was from last week, the brother Isaiah Allah, Idaho, had a dream. All right? And he's saying the missile was right there, like it was right next to him, okay? And he just got snatched up, like right then and there, but like at the last possible second, all right? Like go watch that when he tells that dream, okay? Because I don't want to butcher it, but that was the major catch point, all right? So go watch that. But that's something, man. You want to be saved in those days. You want to be spared in those days, all right? Because it's about to get rough. Now let's go to 2 Thessalonians. 2 Thessalonians 4 and verse 13. Okay? And it says, but I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that ye sorrow not, even as others have no hope. So the prophet Habakkuk, he was like, I want to be asleep, man. I don't want to see this, man. I don't want to be there when this happened, man. This scary. All right? So, verse 14. For if we believe that Yahushua died and rose again, even so, them also which sleep in Yahushua, power will bring unto him. So, Yahushua, he led the way for us, okay? He was the firstborn of the dead, okay? And so he going to bring us back, all right? Those who are martyred for him. Those who are asleep in him. All right. For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of Yahweh, of the Lord, shall not prevent them which are asleep. Okay, so we not stopping them from waking up. We don't want to either. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of power, and the dead in Hamashiach shall rise first. All right? So all those people, okay? All those elect members, all right? They gonna rise up first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds, in the chariots. All right, and they're going to be standing on that sea of glass, looking down at the destruction of Babylon the Great. Okay? To meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. Wherefore, comfort one another with these words. So this should be comforting to the elect to understand, our King is going to save us. He's going to save us, and then immediately he's getting vengeance on our enemies. All right? So it's going to be a beautiful thing. Okay? Now let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 50. And it says, Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of power, neither do corruption inherit incorruption. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. So we go get out of these, fleshly bodies, all right? For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. Okay, so flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. All right, so we have to be changed. We go be like Yahushai. We don't know what he shall be like when we see him, but we know we go be like him when we see him. All right? All right? He said he's not going to meet thee as a man, talking about when he's coming back to face his enemies. All right? So we're going to be like him. And it's going to be beautiful. All right? I can't wait for that day. And so just so if I wasn't clear, so as the Israelites, we don't teach the rapture in the way that the Christians do. We don't really use the word rapture. Okay? We speak about salvation, being caught up into the chariots. Even though, like the word's kind of like interchangeable, but to not confuse people, to not get caught up with that, Christian doctrine that's filled with all these lies and stuff, okay, and fairy tales, because, it's pure vanity for the heathens to think about the things that they think about and hope for salvation, which we'll get a precept on that in a few. But I just wanted to make that clear, okay? So, yeah, that Christian rapture doctrine is false, all right? So this is how it's going to go down. After the tribulation, the elect shall be taken up. All right? And then, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, you see, and it says, And then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as afflicted him and made no account of his labors. So they was looking at those men that were teaching all the time, that were on the highways and byways or making videos, wearing these garments, and they looked weird, and people called them homeless and said, go get a job, and why you can't teach that everybody gonna be saved, why you preaching hate, and they was just trying to tell you the truth, okay? But because they told you the truth, they basically became your enemies, all right? Verse 2, when they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they look for. They wasn't looking for some giant Judite man, some brown man. They were not expecting the Yahushua that's described in the Bible. They expecting, them paintings that they got up on their wall and stuff with this pale-faced Edomite. All right, that's what they expected. They not expecting these people who they thought were nothing, the lowest of the low, to get beamed up into the chariots, to get saved in just the nick of time. That's not what they expected. All right. And they repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit shall say within themselves, this was he who we sometimes had in derision, and a proverb of reproach. Oh, yeah. I remember him. I talked trash to him. I told him that he was teaching doctrines of devils. I told him that he was going to hell. I told him all of this stuff. And now look at him. He getting saved, and I'm about to eat a missile. I should have listened to him. He was right. Verse 4, we fools accounted his life madness and his end to be without honor. They just thought we was just wasting our time. They thought we was giving up all of this stuff of this life, this useless stuff of this life for no reason. All right? Didn't Peter ask Yahushua, like, hey, we have forsaken wives and children and houses and other stuff for your sake. What shall we get? All right? And Yahushua was like, you're going to get 100-fold. All right? Roughly paraphrase. Verse 5. How is he numbered among the children of power and his lot among the saints? So that's how lowly they look down upon the Israelites, especially the elect. They're just like, how is he one of them? All right? They're just going to be trying to rationalize it in themselves, not understanding. Okay, we're the children of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. All right? We are ascending back into our right place. All right? Verse 6, therefore, have we erred from the way of truth, and the light of righteousness had not shined unto us, and the sun of righteousness rose not upon us. They're going to start to realize the errors of their ways, but it's way too late for them. They refried beans now. All right? We wearied ourselves in the way of wickedness and destruction. Yea, we have gone through deserts where there lay no way. But as for the way of the Lord, or the way of Yahweh, we have not known it. Okay? So, the way of the Heavenly Father, following these laws, statutes, and commandments which are a light unto our feet, okay, and a lamp unto our path, that's the way of righteousness. That's the way of life. These people have been following the way of death. They've been deceived. All right? They're going straight into destruction. They don't know. But they're going to find out on that day. Even though we told them, they just don't want to listen. So that's on them. Because whether they hear or forbear, we got to tell them. Let's go Jeremiah 3 and verse 23. All right? And it says, truly in vain is salvation hoped for from the hills, from these small nations, from the multitude of the mountains, these big nations, okay, of these heathens. Truly in Yahweh, our power is the salvation of Israel. Okay? So it can't get more plainer than that. All right? I'm pretty sure I made it clear earlier in the video that salvation is only for Israel. Okay? Let me read it again in case you just can't receive it. You're not going to receive it now, but I'm going to read it anyway. Truly in vain is salvation hoped for from the hills. So that vain goes into nothingness. All right? It's absolutely pointless, frivolous. Okay? It is no benefit to yourself as a heathen to hope for salvation because you ain't going to get it. It's right here written in the scriptures. All right? From the hills. Okay? Little nations. From the multitude of the mountains. These large, big, powerful nations. Truly, in Yahweh, our power is the salvation of Israel. Okay? How come no other nation is promised salvation in the Bible? How come when it talks about salvation, it don't say another nation's name there? Another brother was just talking about that. It don't say, is the salvation of Edom? Is the salvation of Moab? Is the salvation of Ammon? Is the salvation of Elam? Is the salvation of Mizraim? Is the salvation of Cush? Why don't say that? Why? Because salvation is only for the nation of Israel. All right? And y'all hoping for salvation, but y'all have no idea what's coming. This is Amos chapter 5 and verse 18. Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. Okay, remember how Habakkuk was. He was like, man, that day was bad. I don't want to be there. Okay, to what end is it for you? The day of the Lord is darkness and not night, and not light. Boy, this ain't going to be some gentle, mild, Savior coming back. Boy, he said he got vengeance in his heart, man. As if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or went into a house and leaned his hand on the wall and a serpent bit him. There's no escape. If you meant to get dealt with in that day, you done. Ain't nothing you could do. All right? Not a thing. Shall not the day of the Lord, or shall not the day of Yahweh be darkness and not light, even very dark and no brightness in it? It's going to be bad. Can't even imagine how bad it's going to be. All right? So however bad you can imagine it's going to be worse. All right? Because it's coming at the end of Jacob's trouble. And Jacob's trouble is going to be the worst time that there ever has been on earth. And then it's going to culminate in the worst ever day ever. The day of Yahweh. By Hashem Yahweh Shai. It's going to be bad. The earth will rock to and forth like a drunkard. It's going to be bad. Now let's go to Joel chapter 2, verse 11. And it says, and Yahweh shall utter his voice before his army, for his camp is very great, and he is strong that executed his word. For the day of Yahweh is great and very terrible. Who can abide it? All right, so the prophets, they was on the same page. They were like, oh, this is bad. This is really, really bad. All right? So multiple people are seeing what's happening in the end, and they all just like, that's a bad day. That's man, what we gonna do when that happen? All right? Now let's go to Isaiah chapter 45. Let's get this. Is Isaiah 45 and 17. But Israel shall be saved in Yahweh with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. I only see Israel mentioned here, that they're going to be saved. I'm not seeing any other nations. So where are the promises to the other nations? Because don't Paul say that the promises were given to Israel? And, well, he was talking about the promises from Abraham, but this is related to the promises from Abraham, okay, to the forefathers, okay? So, let's get one more precept to go along with this one, and then we'll go to Peter and close out. This is Psalm chapter 14 and verse 7. Oh, that the salvation of Israel were come out of Zion, because Yahweh Shai, he came out of Zion, he's coming for his people. Then Yahweh bringeth back the captivity of his people. Oh, he's going to save his people from captivity. Okay, so if during that time, well, not if, this is what's going to happen. So he's going to save his people from captivity. If the scriptures is telling you that Yahweh Shai is coming to save his people from captivity, that means his people are in captivity right now. So all you naysayers who be like, I'm not in captivity, you rockhead Israelites who don't want to listen, you in captivity. You just don't recognize it. All right? And Yahweh bringeth back the captivity of his people. Jacob shall rejoice and Israel shall be glad. Why the other nations not rejoicing? Because they not getting saved. It's written. Open your eyes if you can. Okay? Now let's go to 1 Peter. 1 Peter 4 and verse 17. And it says, for the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of power. And if it first begin at us, what shall be the end of them that obey not the gospel? That obey not the gospel of power. All right, so judgment starting at the house of the Most High. So it's talking with these Israelites. All right? We're going to be on the forefront of this thing. All right? 2/3 going to be cut off and die. And 1/3 will be brought through the fire and come out as gold. All right? But in 2/3, it's going to be by it. Verse 18. And if the righteous scarcely be saved, scarcely, all right, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? Y'all gonna be in terrible case. That's what's gonna happen. Because the righteous scarcely gonna make it out of that. Just like the brother Zayala described in his dream. All right. Wherefore, let them that suffer according to the will of power commit the keeping of their souls to him in well-doing. as unto a faithful creator. All right? So hold on, because it's only those who endure to the end that shall be saved. All right? So we got to keep going. We can't give up. All right? So you should count it, joy to suffer for righteousness' sake. So keep that in mind. All right? And don't fold in the day of adversity unless your strength be found to be weak. All right? So continue on building up your faith. And I hope this lesson was edifying. Shalom, Yasharala.